Carbonara is a dish with hot pasta tossed in a creamy sauce of beaten eggs mixed with mainly pecorino romano cheese, topped with fresh pepper and several herbs. The carbonara is a beloved Italian dish most associated with Rome and the Lazio region. The origin of the carbonara dish is quite widely debated from several different cookbooks in early Italy and around the 1800s. Some believe the name comes from the word carbonaro, which means coal burner, which indicated it was intended for working men to make easy and hearty meals while working outdoors for long periods. Some attribute it to Rome in the 1900s, where Americans would bring their daily ration of eggs and bacon to local restaurants to add it to the Italian menu. Carbonara nowadays have different modern variations due to its extreme simplicity and versatility. You can pretty much combine anything into it. Like in this video, I will add a couple of smoked bacon and steak into it. The carbonara is a traditional recipe, but it has a lot of room for open interpretations and diversity in culture. The dish could easily be turned vegetarian by adding either zucchini, broccoli, artichoke, anything instead of bacon, while the main protein could be opted for shrimp or other kinds of seafood. This seafood carbonara is especially famous in Italy for instance, as in place of cured pork, Michelin star chef Mario Alessi substitutes pretty much anything from the sea, from trouts, clams, and even tuna. Although many Italians embrace the various traditions and variations in the pasta making method, when the French attempted to reinvent this dish as a meal that's way too simplified and surface level into a quick one-pot meal, it was dubbed Carbonara Gate by many pasta enthusiasts. And even nowadays, people often misconstrue the carbonara as a dish that requires cream and heavy cream, where the only dairy it really needs is cheese. In this instance, this will be an example of cross-pollination between each different cultures, where you have elements from an Italian dish mixed with a French dish, or even sometimes Asian dishes, to bring something else to the table. But this often steps on what pasta enthusiasts, those foodies, would consider cultural appropriation. But in my opinion, all that matters in the end of the day is you create a dish that's tasty and people like. And if people like a simple and oversimplified version of the carbonara, then they're free to do so. But the way I'm making the carbonara in this video follows closely to the traditional recipe, where I add a little bit of steak to the final product just to increase the amount of protein in the dish. Many different things could be added to change the fundamentals of the dish. For example, in this video, I've opted to make this pasta from scratch, which just to show, you do not need a stand mixer to create the pastas. All you need to do is roll the finished pasta dough into sheets and roll them up and cut them like I did before. I think my opinion on The cross-pollination of different cultural dishes follows the same as the 2-star Michelin chef Marco Sacco, who says in the kitchen the protection and care of tradition must be able to coexist with the desire and possibility to innovate and experiment. He also goes on to explain the original recipe or the older versions must be defended as preserved, just as an asset in a museum would, but this does not limit the new generation from creating these experimental and maybe even different and potentially better dishes. Throughout this video, I've essentially used the entire wedge of pecorino cheese in my sauce. I'm making a recipe for 4 people, and you always want to go over with the amount of cheese because that's the only source of sodium and the only place where you're going to taste that salt, because the only other seasoning you're going to add is pepper. Throughout this, after I've seared off the steak, I've made a mistake actually. I should have let the pan cool and allowed the the pasta to sit and cool down. You want the pan warm enough to cook the egg, but not enough to scramble it. You want it to come to temper and form a custard instead of scrambling.